Good morning. Is everybody there? Anybody who's joining us this morning? Okay, good. Hi. Good morning. So I am back in my favorite spot this morning on my patio with my fire and my cup of coffee. I hope you guys have your hot cup of lemon water or coffee or are still kind of, I don't want to say, I don't know, snuggled in perhaps on this Wednesday morning. Really want to talk about pain and purpose today. And what I'm finding, what I'm struggling with is there's so much to say about this that I've had actually quite a hard time putting it all together into something that's so condensed, because we don't really have that much time. So how to make this as impactful as possible in the small amount of time we have this morning. And thank you for the comments or letting me know that you're there. Good morning. Yeah, that's lovely. Again, I love the process of interacting with people. So if you have questions, I actually have a way that I can read them this time, even though I said that last time. This time I can. So if questions or comments, I can see them as we go. So that's lovely. This idea of pain and purpose, it's something that I have struggled with or thought about all my life. I know that my clients do too. This idea that we bring on our own pain, or that karmically we're here to learn these really hard lessons. And I've come to have more of a middle ground perspective on this that I just want to share with you. Do I think that all things happen for a reason? No, I don't. I really don't subscribe to that belief that everything that happens to us is because of karma. I think that bad things happen, that perhaps there are some lessons that we're here to learn, but the way that we learn them, I think, is really determined by us as human beings, being in a human body, going through the experience of being human, which we will suffer. We will have pain. Bad things will happen, whether that's by choices that we make or choices that other people make that impact us, or even just events that happen that are larger than us, that are really truly out of our control. And I think that is for me, it is a softer way to look at things. We can have a tendency to get really burdened and bogged down thinking that we have brought all of this pain or trauma on ourselves. I know that I saw this a lot when I was working extensively in oncology, where people would come in and believe that they brought on their own cancer diagnosis. If only they had thought different thoughts or made different choices, that they wouldn't be where they are. And that may or may not be true to a certain extent. Some things really are out of our control. And what I really want to focus on is, the bad things happen. We all endure painful events, whether that's things that were done to us, sexual abuse, physical abuse, verbal abuse, things that just happen in everyday life or throughout the course of our lives. We all endure a lot of loss, right? That is a kind of trauma. There's violence, neglect, all of these things that to a certain extent we'll all encounter. And so underneath all of our own individual stories, we all have embedded in us some trauma. And that absolutely impacts us. It impacts us more than we could ever know. And I think it's really important for us to understand how deeply it does impact us. Because without having that awareness, we get stuck in this track of trauma. And trauma, or really painful experiences, right? It wires us for powerlessness. It wires us for hopelessness. And so I want to explain this track of trauma a little bit more and just see if this resonates with you. I know that I see this all the time. Looking back, I can see this in myself. I can see this in people around me. I can absolutely see this when clients first come into my office. So when a hard event, a traumatic event happens, we all, as human beings, go into a kind of shock response. So that's our physiological way of dealing with the overwhelm of it. And I know we can all relate to this, where it's a little bit surreal, like we just can't believe it. And we can stay in this state for a very short amount of time, or it can be a little bit more extended. But the longer we stay in this kind of shock state, the more we drop down into that next level of this track of trauma, which is apathy. So if we stay in this kind of shock response of, I don't know what just happened, I don't know what I could have done different, just confusion, and kind of out of our own body, or stuck in that fight or flight. The longer we stay in that, the more we can get to this place of apathy, which is kind of a internal giving up or a hopelessness. It's really getting to a point where the belief is that it doesn't matter what I do, I can't affect change. So I see this all the time with people who are stuck in a fight or flight, and they try to do meditation, they try medication, they try to do all of these different things to calm down. And when they still are having panic attacks, or they start to give up, like, I'm broken. Nothing I do is going to change how I'm feeling, or there is a sense of powerlessness that starts to take root. And if we stay in this mode long enough, this apathetic mode, we will slide all the way down into more of a depersonalization mode. And this is where people are really asleep. This is like deep autopilot. This is deeper than apathy. I can't even identify my feelings, let alone process any feelings. It's really a deep separation from what is happening. And I know that you can probably relate to this by looking around, or even having the experience of, like, how did I get here in my life? How am I this age already? How did this happen? So it's this state of really deep autopilot. And I know that in our country today, well, in the world today, in our culture especially, we can see this everywhere, where people are really asleep and just moving through their lives in a survival mode. When you're in this track of trauma, you are sleepwalking through your life. And it's a really painful place to be. And what is missing when we're in this track is that we have a lack of meaning. There is an emptiness inside of our inner world. And in order to shift out of that, we have to make a different choice. So purpose, meaning, growth, I want to really emphasize, I truly believe, is a choice. It's a choice that we have to make. And in making that choice, we are starting to step more into reclaiming our power, which was lost in whatever event or series of events that put us on that track of trauma. So we have to work on, and it is work, We have to work on finding meaning. So while I don't think that everything happens for a reason, if we can find some reason, some learning, some little morsel of growth to grab from it, from the horrible heart event, then that puts us on a different track. And that particular track I would call a track of expansion, a track of purpose, a track of being awake in our life. And being awake, we have to have some sort of purpose, something that we know that we are making a positive impact, something that we're moving towards. And the first part of being on that track is connection. So knowing that we're not alone, knowing that there are a lot of people out there who have been asleep and want to wake up, knowing there are a lot of people out there who have suffered a similar kind of trauma or hard experiences, who want to heal, who want to feel whole, who want to bring meaning and purpose into their lives. And finding these people is absolutely essential to our healing, our wholeness. We cannot heal in a vacuum. We can't do it alone by just reading a book or even watching a video. We have to feel a sense of resonance, a sense of connection. And for me, in my life, growing up, I can count on one hand, there are a few people that I knew, even if they didn't have the same experience as me or weren't going through the same thing as me, that I knew that they would support me, that they could see me. And I really, really stepped into it in a different way when I started therapy. And I stepped in at a very young age after I lost my mom. And that absolutely saved my life. I was going down that track of trauma, and knowing that I wasn't alone was huge. And stepping into therapy also allowed me to access the second step of being in a track of expansion, which is learning how to navigate my feelings. So we have to bring an awareness of what we're feeling in order to learn how to deal with them, to tolerate them, to ride the waves of them. If we're not doing that, we can feel helpless, hopeless, and powerless with our emotions. And so we already get enough of that out in the world, feeling like we can't really affect change at a larger level. If we're feeling that in our inner world, we are sunk. So learning how to, metaphorically speaking, learn how to surf those waves of our own emotions is absolutely essential. And another component of this track of expansion is learning how to have compassion for yourself. So learning that learning how to soften around the choices that we made that perhaps contributed to hard events, or choices that we made that kept us on more of the trauma track instead of a track of purpose. Softening around time lost being asleep. That is, the more that we can do that for ourselves, the more we're able to do that out in the world, which can be part of our purpose. And then the last part is actually finding the meaning in things. And this can be really difficult. With really, really hard situations, it can be really difficult to find any kind of meaning in it. But again, it's a choice. It's something that we have to actively choose and step into. One of the greatest tragedies that has occurred in my life is losing my mother at a young age. And it absolutely impacted me. And it's not that I am grateful that she died by any means. Her death was a tragedy, is a tragedy, but the tragedy would be exponential if I didn't get any growth from that, if I didn't get any learning from the experience of loving her and losing her. And it absolutely has shaped who I am today. I don't identify myself as a motherless daughter. It's not who I am, but I was absolutely impacted on every level by the loss of her. And I remember starting this process of moving from the track of trauma, where I absolutely didn't believe that I could live without her, to this track of expansion, stepping into recognizing these really small gifts in what that experience taught me. Something as small as when I was first starting down this road of being a mental health professional, recognizing, oh, I can sit with dying people. I know how to do that. Oh, I can sit with people who are distraught with their loved ones because I have done that, and I know better now how to navigate that in my internal world. So now that is a gift that I can bring to the world around me. So I started to bring purpose to her death. I didn't wish her death, but I can bring purpose to it, which, again, lessens the impact of the tragedy. It's not that I don't miss her every day, but when I can hold on to that purpose, that growth, that expansion, all of the ways that I have awakened, she and that her love and the losing of her allowed me to be a little bit more awake, a lot more awake in my life as I have moved through all the layers of that. And that took time for me to start to gather all those gifts, all the learning, all the expansion. And we're not always going to understand what the learning or the meaning is. And that's okay. It's not always going to be a rational thing. And when we're confused about that, all that means is that we have to go to a higher source to see if we can allow in any insight, any answers. But this, and this is the process that we're going to go through this morning in the meditation. So I'm going to take you through how to do this, how to open up. The last thing that I really want to say about this is that the learning, the meaning can be something as simple as learning your own resilience, learning that you can go through something so hard and you're still alive, you're still here. It can be something as simple as learning that you have to use your voice, that you're learning about your own worth, learning about your own heart, about how you want to use your time in this world, how you want to serve others, how you want to help others, which all starts with serving and helping ourselves, moving from that apathetic and disassociated state into a state of love and expansion. So I want you to get settled in a comfortable position, and we're going to just do a meditation, moving through this process of having better understanding of perhaps a heart event, a circumstance, or a tragedy or trauma that you're carrying with you today, that you would like a little bit more clarity on, that you would that you want to choose to bring more understanding into more of the realm of meaning and purpose. So as you get settled for meditation, I encourage you to find a comfortable seat, just making sure that your head, neck, and spine are aligned. I want you to bring into your mind that particular event, challenge, trauma, or tragedy that you know you carry with you. And just holding that loosely in your awareness. I want you to close your eyes if you're comfortable with that and take a nice deep breath in. We're just going to drop into ourselves this morning. So take that nice deep breath. Hold it for as long as you comfortably can. And on the exhale, just feel yourself settle in to whatever seat you're in. Just a little more, sinking into the bed, the chair, the floor. And again, another nice deep breath in. And exhaling, just feeling a little bit more relaxed, a little more present in your own body. And this time, as you inhale, I want you to send your own root system from the very base of your spine down through the bed, the chair, the floor. We're just going to ground into Mother Earth. So seeing, sensing, feeling, using your breath to push those roots all the way down into the earth, feeling that connection below us, that support below us. And from the tips of those roots, your roots, I want you to breathe in that breath of life, bringing that breath all the way into your heart, letting it rest there for a moment. And then up and out the crown of your head, opening up your channel, fully opening up that channel, feeling that support below you. Feeling centered in your heart and opening up that channel above you to that greater wisdom, that greater connection. I want you to continue to breathe deeply but easily. And want to encourage you all to suspend all judgments that enter your mind right now. This isn't a time or a space for our rational, linear, logical part of our mind to step in. I want to encourage you to bring in the energy of curiosity. When we're curious, we're more open, less constricted. So setting that intention to just be curious about what presents itself today. And to be open to an awareness of a higher perspective, whether that is from your higher source, from God, from your higher self, from your soul, your spirit, or perhaps it's being open to guidance from a guide. Anything that speaks to you, that you feel open to receiving information from. Just let yourself connect to that elevated source. Calling it in, setting that intention. And it's as simple as that. Take another nice deep breath in. As you're really dropping into that connection. And I want you to ask yourself, or ask your elevated source, what would you have me know? What about this circumstance, this tragedy, this hard event can help expand me, grow me, help me step more into the world, a little more alive and awake? Just letting any awareness, any symbol, word, phrase, let it come through in any way. It doesn't have to make sense right now. Just being open and curious. How does going through this event, this trauma, this tragedy, help expand me, grow me, or show up in the world more alive and awake? Being open to whatever comes. Taking another nice deep breath, I want you to really connect with your heart center right now. So breathing in and out from your heart. Letting whatever did come to you land in your heart. Your heart can carry this. Our hearts are the pathway for all healing. It's our crossroads. It's our center point between our emotional, physical, and spiritual selves. So tucking away the word, the symbol, the pictures, the phrases, any morsel that you were able to open up to, just tucking it away in your heart for safekeeping. Knowing that having the awareness of it is the most important thing. It will unfold in its own timing, in its own way. We don't really have to do anything other than make the choice to be aware of it. To choose to know that it's there, to be curious about it. And that choice alone is you reclaiming your power. Is you reclaiming your purpose. I want you to breathe that awareness in. Notice how that feels in your body. To feel a little bit more powerful that you're making this choice. Feel your heart expand. Perhaps you can feel that warmth in your solar plexus, in your throat, in your head. So taking another nice deep breath, thanking our higher source, showing gratitude for whatever it was that they were able to show us today. Knowing we can always connect to that source whenever we need the guidance, whenever we need that information, and having gratitude for always having that connection. Very slowly, I invite you to take another deep breath, starting to come back into your space, into your room, wherever it is that you're physically inhabiting. Noticing that you're feeling a little more relaxed, a little more empowered, and a little more energized for your day ahead. Thank you for sharing your morning with me. I look forward to seeing you soon.